Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about the greatest abandoned checkout guide you've ever seen or something similar, because I have made millions of dollars for e-commerce brands with flows and campaigns. Klaviyo is literally how I make a living. This is some of my client results. 365 days from just the first email, they got 67K in the last year from just the first email of the flow. The reason I put just the first email is because it makes the most amount of money, and because I couldn't put like 2 million screenshots here. So I just put the first email and the total revenue of the flow in the last 30 days. Here's another client, first email and total revenue of the flow in the last 30 days. Another client, first email and total revenue of the flow in the last 30 days. Another client, and there you have it. And another client and another client, right? Well, in total, there's like 5 clients and like a lot of results, right? So I know what I'm doing. And so I'm going to show you how you can make crazy amounts of money for your e-commerce brand, your Shopify store, whatever you want to call it, with an abandoned checkout flow. So number one, what you need is the flow trigger. Of course, it's just going to be when someone checkout started. You don't want added to cart. That's a completely different flow for a completely different purpose. And this is specifically for people who have abandoned their checkout and you want to get them back and get them to buy your products, right? Flow filters, so you don't want any trigger filters, but you do want profile filters, which is basically just placed order 0 times since starting this flow. Obviously, if once someone has placed an order, you don't want them in the flow anymore and has not been in the flow in the last 14 days. Now this, you can change it up. You can make it 5 days, you can make it 30 days, depending on your store and how often you want this flow to be going out to people, right? But usually, like the rule of thumb, like 14 days, 7 days, something around those time ranges is pretty good. Finally, you have the flow time delays. Now this is 2 different types of time delays that I'm going to show. Over at my agency, Valorize Media, what we would do is we would use the customer's data and use machine learning or data science or whatever, the cool kids call it AI these days, but really it's just machine learning, a bunch of mathematics and statistics and code on the customer data, behavior data, and to figure out exactly, when to send the emails. So it would be like, the checkout flow time delay is 30 minutes because they're most likely to check out at 37 minutes after clicking the checkout button, right? And then we would find other time delays, and then we would send the emails out with those specific time delays after their checkout, after they press the checkout button. However, I understand that most people can't do that, even most agencies can, and so that is where we would recommend these generalized time delays. You would absolutely want to A/B test this 30 minutes, 60 minutes. I wouldn't do like 15 minutes, because at that point it's like, you might A/B test 15 minutes and you might get more revenue, but that is just the attributed revenue, and that is because the person is still on the Shopify checkout page, and now they received an email. Now they just viewed that email, and Klaviyo Klaviyo will now attribute that to the flow, even though the flow didn't really do anything. The person was going to check out anyway. You just sent that email so early that the person viewed it, and now they're placing an order, and now that order is going to be attributed to the flow. So yeah, 30 minutes tested versus 45 or 60 minutes tested versus 2 hours or 4 hours. 4 hours is like way too long, but it might be useful for some niches. Personally, 30 to 60 minutes is generally good for most stores. 24 hours, or 2 days, and 3 days. This is just a general time delay that I've found over multiple brands. This is on average how what it looks like. Obviously you want to get extremely specific with this when you want to optimize your flow, and that's where we would come in with the machine learning stuff. And then the next one is the flow strategy. So this is the strategy of how you want to structure your flow. And the main thing with not just with the abandoned checkout flow, but with any flow, is you want to map out your customer's journey, right? Why did they abandon checkout, and how can you make it easy for them to place their order now, right? Number one, the main reason most people abandon checkout is because they get distracted or they forget, right? And so that's the first email is literally just meant to be a reminder for that person, right? And reason number 2, they need more trust in the brand. So that would be your second email. You would put social proof in there. You would put, whether if your brand got featured in certain places, if your brand got some awards, whatever, increase the trust and authority of your brand in that second email. And then in the third email, you might talk about the pricing, but more importantly, you'd add a discount here, because if the customer's objection is this price is too high, then you give them a discount, price is a bit lower, they will end up buying. Also, with all of these emails, like I'm saying that, this is like the main thing you want to talk about. But if you know your customer and you know that their problems are like they have multiple problems, you can't really mention all of that in this email, because the focus of this email has to be to increase the trust in the brand. But you do want to talk about their problems and the benefits and the goals and things like that in the email, but kind of centered around the main focal point, which is the trust in the brand. And the reason for that is because, it just increases the conversion rate. I don't know what else to tell you, to be honest. So yeah, that's what it does. But yeah, you want to mention the problems, benefits, goals, and things like that along with the main focal point of the email, right? Reason number 3, the price is too high. We just discussed this. The next email would be the scarcity/urgency on this email. Now, if you don't want to use a discount here, what you would have done is literally just talk about how it's difficult to get stock once it goes out of stock and people have to wait for a long time, something like that. Just talk about scarcity/urgency. If you don't have anything that is real scarcity or real urgency, then in that case, I would not use this type of email, because I personally don't believe in fake scarcity and fake urgency. I believe that's kind of unethical, but you do you. Reason number 4, you basically list out every single objection that the person has against your brand, or every single benefit that the person is looking for in your products, and literally just list out every single one, take the main ones, and the entire flow is basically just that, along with a little bit of scarcity and urgency in like 2 spots, right? The reason you do this right after the discount is because, the discount is top of mind for anyone who has opened this email. And the reason you do this at the end is because it's like a last resort. You could even use a bigger discount in the last email, see if that would get people to convert. You would use bigger scarcity, like you can use a countdown timer in the urgency section, which I'll talk about. But yeah, that would be your main strategy of the flow. Like a lot of people complicate this, like this is how email 1 should be and this is how what email 2 should be. Like, no, like it's literally just what are the main objections and benefits, and just focus on those, right? That is what is making your customer make the purchase. So why are you using techniques that aren't necessarily going to resonate with your with your customer? You just need to focus on these main things. So the next one is be careful. Now, when you have like 8 emails in a flow, 7 emails in a flow, what is going to happen is that obviously your conversion rate is going to go up. You're going to get more people placing an order if you have made those emails correctly. But also you're going to get a lot of, you're going to have some customers who are going to be in 2 or 3 or 4 different flows at the same time. And those customers will be getting a ton of emails for a long time. And so their likelihood of unsubscribing or marking your emails as spam goes up. And so what you want to do in this case is make sure that the customer is always in 1 flow at a time, or at most 2. And to do that, you have to use exclusions, right? Exclusions to exclude people from 1 flow if they're in another flow, and so on, right? And the way you do this is you have to map the customer journey in your head and make exclusions based on that. This is extremely advanced. I don't even see agency owners or freelancers talking about this even online. But personally, I've found that this is the way to decrease unsubscribes from you shouldn't care about unsubscribes, but if it's a customer that was actually going to buy from you, but the only reason they've unsubscribed is because they received 3 emails in a day from you, then yes, you do want to care about that. You do want to decrease those types of unsubscribes. And so this is something I'll talk about in a future video. Literally no one else talks about this, but I'm going to make a video on this. But for now, for your abandoned checkout flow, you want to add this to your abandoned cart flow filters. So, what happens is someone abandons checkout, and they receive your abandoned checkout email, and then they go to the site. They don't decide to place an order. Instead, they decide to add something to cart, and now they've abandoned site again. And now they're in the abandoned cart flow and in the abandoned checkout flow, right? And you do not want that to happen, right? You want your customers to basically receive only 1 of those emails. You don't want them to receive both abandoned cart and abandoned checkout. And so what I would do for now is just add this to your abandoned cart flow filters, which is basically if someone has received an email, where the flow is abandoned checkout, then in the last 1 day, then do not add them to the abandoned cart flow, right? And so this makes sure that they will stay in the abandoned checkout flow instead of going into the abandoned cart flow and receiving 2 flows at the same time. Now, there are more advanced exclusions. This is like the most basic form of an abandoned checkout exclusion, but this will work for your brand just to decrease the number of spam complaints and the number of unsubscribes, which is also, by the way, extremely important in terms of deliverability these days, because Google and Yahoo have increased their requirements for bulk senders to maintain their reputation. The next one is email content. Now, with email content, I have literally made a video on this. Like it was probably like the last video or the last video. So go and check that video out. It's gonna be somewhere over in the info cards here. But I'm still gonna just mention some of the key points that you might want to keep in mind. Is you need to know your audience. You need to know their pain points, benefits, problems, aspirations, goals, situations, circumstances, everything about them, right? You want to know them, and that's the only way that you can write good copy. That's the only way. That's literally the only way to write good copy, right? And if anyone else tells you like, oh, you can write great copy with these like copywriting tricks, like these 17 copywriting tricks that I just pulled off of ChatGPT, I'm going to make a video on that. No, like that, it's complete nonsense, okay? The only way to write good copy is market research and knowing your audience, okay? And that's why I stress this in literally every video. Like, you need to know your audience, you need the market research, and that's the only way to write good copy, to make good email strategies, to make good email flows. Everything just relies on knowing your audience. And yes, put your headings and CTAs in the proper places. To do this, literally just go to this video, follow your copywriting principles, which is literally make concise sentences, make them easy to read, easy to follow and understand. A lot of people, what they do is they make really complex sentences with like great vocabulary, basically. Like, it's like you need to be a college student in order to understand the copy, and that's not a good thing. You need like basically 5th grade level copywriting, like 5th grade level English. That's what you need your English to be, in order for people to find it easy to read and understand your content. And also, like, people just skim through the emails, so they're not going to sit down and like try to look at your complex sentencing and like big paragraphs, right? So you want to make it easy to read and understand. I use social proof, and of course watch the video, right? There's going to be an email design video coming soon, but not right now because I'm making a bunch of other videos, but there will be an email design video soon, so you subscribe for that. So email number 1. Now, this email is literally just supposed to be a reminder, so you don't need to make it complex at all. Make it super simple. Test lots of copy versus no copy. For some brands, more copy will work. For some brands, it won't. For some brands, longer and shorter emails work. This is basically the same thing. Test social proof. In this one, we did not add social proof because it did not fit the brand. Use a dynamic segment. Basically, we want to A/B test this stuff. It's pretty easy to A/B test in Klaviyo. I will make a very comprehensive guide on A/B test because it can be very complex, especially if you want to really optimize your store. It's really important to have certain principles in mind, which I'll talk about in a later future video. Use a dynamic segment with solid backgrounds only. Okay, so behind this dynamic basic block, basically a dynamic segment is what will show on here when, basically a dynamic segment is what is inside the card. So whatever's in the card is going to show here, right? But you want to make sure that the background of this segment is solid. In this case, it's solid white, but it could be any solid color. And the reason for that is because you want your design to be very, if you're using a designed email, you want it to be very consistent. So if it's a gradient background, or if it's some weird kind of background with an image or something like that, it's not going to work out, because when you put it into Klaviyo, it's going to look all weird. So always have like a solid background here. Over here, you can do whatever you want, up, below and above it. Right behind the dynamic block, always have a solid background. Shouldn't have any irrelevant CTAs and links. This is super important. I see a lot of people going wrong here. They might have a header here, they might have a footer here, they might have something else. No, the first email should only focus on taking them to the checkout page, right? Do not want to do anything else with that, the first email. So there should be literally no other link. Even the logo, if someone clicks the logo, they are going to go to the checkout page. Okay, it doesn't matter if they want to go to the website. We're taking them to the checkout page because they need to make the purchase, right? And yeah, keep it super simple. There's literally nothing complex about this email. As you can see, this is an email that we designed for a brand, and it works really well. So The other thing I wanted to say about this was you always need to make sure the link leads them to the checkout page, because a lot of time it's going to lead them to a random page, but make sure it leads them to the checkout page. And to do this, you basically just follow a Klaviyo tutorial where they're going to show you how to make sure that you take the link that is basically the checkout URL link. I'll put the link in the description below to that tutorial. I'll probably make a video tutorial about that soon, but it's not really that difficult. You just literally just need to like click in one spot and then copy and paste that link into your link blocks. And here are some final tips and tricks for the banner checkout flow. By the way, with all of the other emails in the checkout flow, you literally just need to follow the same steps as my email copy video, email content video basically. And it's just, once you have the strategy down, once you know that this email is going to be about social proof, this email is going to be about this is going to be about this, writing the actual content is literally just following that particular video that I made. If you want to make them design emails, you just follow the design video that I make in the future, or just go to YouTube and find any email design video. But yeah, other tips and tricks. By the way, you don't actually need designs. You can do without designs very easily. If you'll just have to kind of have more copy, but you can easily do without email design. Like everyone stresses email design so much, you can do without email design. It's pretty easy. Like people say like design will make your conversion rate so much higher. It doesn't actually do that. Like, it's just nonsense. Like this poster, this really well designed email is somehow going to increase the conversion rate versus like a really well done copy. No, the copy will beat the design every single time, right? Other tips and tricks. Use a dynamic discount for real exclusivity and urgency. I have a video on this coming soon, but I'll leave a link down in the description below if you want to try out a dynamic discount in Klaviyo. Basically what it is every single person will have a unique discount for them, and that will have a unique expiry date that is actually a real expiry date. And what that's going to do is make the person realize, oh, this is actually a real discount that's literally just for me. And you can mention that in the copy. That's going to increase your conversion rate as well. And you can mention that in the copy. You can later on, you can say like discount is going to expire in like whatever hours. And yeah, that works really well. And basically it's like, it's the way that's what I do when I don't want to lie, when I use urgency. I don't want to lie in any kind of marketing at all. So what I do is use dynamic discounts with the real urgency, so I don't have to lie. I can literally just mention it's going to end in X hours, and it actually does end in those hours. And by the way, that increases your brand's like integrity and stuff like that as well. Like, okay, when this brand tells me that a discount is going to expire, it actually literally does expire. And that really increases not just the customer's trust in your brand, but also like the next time you send them a discount, they're going to be more likely to kind of believe you when you talk about the urgency. Use a countdown timer in the last email. I have a video on this coming soon as well. It's basically whenever you use urgency, you can use a countdown timer, and that's going to like kind of tick down, and it's a real countdown timer, and it's going to increase your conversion rate as well. You can, by the way, use the countdown timer in your campaigns and all sorts of things as well. Test time delays using A/B tests. I have a video on how to test time delays in flows coming soon, but really all you have to do is use a 50% random sample. I'm going to link that in the description as well, and you can check that page out. And finally, here's the final tips and tricks. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here, and also if you have any problems with your acquisition costs or ads aren't performing well, or you just want to retain more customers, there's a link down in the description below. You can check that out if you want to. It's literally just me explaining what we do at our agency, so you can check it out. Otherwise, you're awesome, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.